time, the prostate is producing that prostatic fluid, which will mix with the spermatozoa or the sperm and then form the semen. At the same time, it also contains an enzyme called the 5-alpha reductase. And this 5-alpha reductase is responsible for converting testosterone to dihydrotestosterone. What clinically happens is that testosterone is in the blood, but when it enters the prostate cells, then it will be converted to the dihydrotestosterone. The dihydrotestosterone is the active form of testosterone, and then it acts on the prostate cells, and then they begin to enlarge. Whilst you are growing up in life, the concentration or amount of the dihydrotestosterone will remain in the prostate. And then once you are growing, it will start becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. At the same time, anytime you are having sex, before the semen will come out, the prostate will contract and then close the neck of the bladder. Because it sits under the bladder, it will contract or close it. Once it closes it, sperms or semen does not leak into the bladder, but then it comes out, and then the prostate will propel that semen to come out. The main problems of the prostate: benign prostatic hyperplasia and then prostatitis. With the benign prostatic hyperplasia, that's the prostate enlargement, as we commonly call it, is not a cancer. Again, I won't say that it's not a cancer. It's different from prostate cancer. And then it's common with age. Once you are growing up in life, you start experiencing that. At the same time, it affects your urine. We have noticed that from the age of 50, your prostate will start becoming bigger. And then it will become bigger and then bigger with time. BPH can be considered as an expected part of aging process for most men. And once the size is increasing, that's when you start experiencing the symptoms of benign prostatic hyperplasia. And the symptoms include urinary retention. So there will be people, they have enlarged prostate. They'll go to the hospital with inability to urinate. The inability to urinate will also come with pain and then swelling. Once they pass a catheter, they get that relief. I mean, that once you get that relief, it's so comfortable that you can even give somebody, the doctor who passed the catheter for even 2,000 Ghana cedis. And it's happened before. When you have the urinary, which is the problem associated with that, at the same time, because urine backs up, it's not flowing very well. Now, it backs up in your 2 kidneys. Once it backs up, it leads to kidney failure. So that's how prostate enlargement can lead to kidney failure. At the same time, too, one of the symptoms you experience, the weak stream, you'll not be able to urinate very well. Instead of your urine being strong, the flow being strong, this time it becomes very weak. And then at the same time, you urinate frequently. I was saying earlier on that traveling from Accra to Kumasi, you always tell the bus driver to always stop. And there is a feeling after urinating that you still have some of the urine in your bladder. Over time, those symptoms may escalate to the point that the bladder can no longer push urine. For this reason, it becomes the urine retention where they pass a catheter. And the catheter can remain in your penis for quite some time until doctors are satisfied that once they give you the medications and they remove the catheter, you'll be able to pee. Some of the risk factors, the reason why people will be predisposed to prostate enlargement. It's once you are above the age of 40, if you have a family history of benign prostatic hyperplasia, if you are big. If you also have any heart issue, if you have diabetes, if you don't exercise, it predisposes you to prostate enlargement. In fact, the treatment is that simple. In the early stages, if you report early to the hospital, we can give you medications like tamsulosin and then 5-alpha reductase. And then if the prostate is that big, it's giving problems like urine retention, then surgery will become necessary. One of the surgical procedures, that's a minimally invasive procedure, is the TURP. Once they do that procedure for you, you get discharged immediately, and you'll be okay. Or prostatectomy, where they remove the whole prostate. For prostatitis, I was saying earlier that it's an infection of the prostate. Any bacterial organism. For men that are sexually active, chlamydia or Neisseria gonorrhea organisms. And it's actually painful anytime you urinate. And you may have fever and chills. And then at the same time, if you're having sex with your partner, you can have pain anytime you ejaculate. In fact, it's treatable with antibiotics. So it's not something that cannot be treated. I want to say here that with the benign prostatic hyperplasia, anytime they do the surgery and then remove the cells, you send it for histology. When you send it for histology, it is then that they will determine whether it's cancerous or not. You can have prostate enlargement and then prostate cancer living together in your prostate at the same time. That is why once they bring out the prostate tissue from TURP or prostatectomy, they send it for biopsy just to see whether it's cancerous or not. So I'll pause here for Dr. Adwetua to continue with prostate cancer. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. More gentlemen than ladies. You're very welcome. Thank you very much, Dr. Labi, for the introduction. So I will be talking about prostate cancer. As Dr. Labi has pre-mentioned, there are diseases of the prostate, mainly the benign or non-cancerous condition, and then the cancerous condition which affects the prostate gland. Now, what we should keep in mind is that the prostate is limited to men. So women do not have prostates. Keep that in mind. It's a gland for the men only. And most importantly, the location of it is immediately under the urinary bladder. And Dr. Labi has also mentioned some symptoms which may occur with enlarged prostate. So when we say prostate cancer, what do we mean? When we say cancer anywhere, it means an abnormal growth or a cancerous growth in any part of the body. It can occur in the breast, it can occur in the stomach. But when we say prostate cancer, it's abnormal growth of cells in the prostate gland, which is located under the bladder. Now, it's the most common cancer in men. There are other cancers also which could occur in men, such as lung cancer, as well stomach cancer, but the prostate is the commonest when it comes to men. And it's the second leading cause of cancer death also in men. So it's very important that we know something about it. It's often silent early in disease, doesn't show many symptoms until it's advanced or it's grown in size, and then the symptoms start occurring. Now, when it spreads to other parts of the body, commonly it spreads to the backbone and the liver. These are the commonest sites that it spreads to. So when it spreads to these sites as well, it shows some symptoms. So I'll go through those symptoms as well as we progress, so that if anyone, your loved one, complains of any of these symptoms, at least you will know that this may be prostate cancer. So please, let's move to the slide, which shows the next. Okay, so this is fine. So when you look at the yellow areas are the areas with the cancer. Let me ask again, if I say the prostate is under the urinary bladder, do we understand where it is? Or I should give a bit of an overview? Okay, so, someone should tell me. Okay, so please, where's the prostate gland? Okay, and where's the bladder? Yes.
By the school too.
Okay, close. Above. So I'll just take another brief. So we see this gentleman here. This is his lower abdomen, right? And then this is also his penis. Okay. Now the bladder is located under the just behind the lower abdomen. Okay, so specifically this area. That's where the bladder is located. Okay. And it's part of the urinary tract. So when we produce urine from the kidneys, they are stored in the bladder until we can go and urinate or we're at an appropriate place, and then we can let out the urine. So that's the function of the bladder. And the prostate is immediately under it as an outlet. All right, so moving on, please let's go to the next slide. When it comes to prostate cancer, what are the risk factors? Or what may make one prone to developing prostate cancer? I'm a bit biased, sorry, I'm a woman. All right, so what are some risk factors? One, as one ages or becomes older, their risk increases. So the older you are, the more you should test or be aware of the symptoms. Number two, race. Prophet Daniel mentioned earlier that black men are more prone to developing prostate cancer. It is true. So when you're a black man also, it means test more often and aggressively. The next is family history. If you have 2 family members, males, who have had prostate cancer, your risk is also increased. So you must also be aggressive with testing. And then weight, obesity. So being bigger than your average BMI, it means you should also pay attention. Smoking. Smoking causes cancers in a lot of other parts of the body, such as lung, very common there, stomach, very common there. Prostate is also one of them. And then intake of red meat. Eating a lot of red meat also increases one's risk of developing prostate cancer. So it doesn't mean stop eating red meat, but then look at the quantities. What are some signs and symptoms that will make one know that they are developing prostate cancer? So it's just like symptoms of the benign disease or the non-cancerous disease. And these include urinating frequently. Now and often you want to urinate. When you go to stand in the washroom too, you stand, push, urine doesn't come. It means the bladder neck is obstructed. These are all symptoms similar to the benign disease. However, with the cancer, the patient may see blood in the urine. So the minute you see blood is a red flag. Take note of that. Apart from the blood in the urine, there may also be blood in semen. So with ejaculation, there may be blood showing in the semen. It's also a red flag. And then another one is pain in the back, in the lower back, or weakness in the legs. When that happens, it means the cancer has left the prostate or metastasized, so traveled to another part of the body. And this makes management more difficult as compared to if it's limited to the prostate alone. So, as I mentioned, some of the risk factors, they'll overlap with the presentation. I'll mention some and we'll go back and forth. So as I mentioned, with the risk factors, family history is very high. If you have 2 or more men in the family who have had it, you are also at an increased risk of developing it. A high saturated diet, high testosterone levels. So there are some men who have to be given testosterone for management of certain conditions. They also have an increased risk of developing prostate cancer. So, prostate cancer is a silent threat. It may start developing quietly, slowly, over time. Therefore, that's why we advise that individuals should test often, screen more often, because when it comes, you may not see. So, we've mentioned some of the warning signs, which are straining to urinate, blood in the urine, back pain. We've mentioned these. However, screening is key. So what does screening entail? There's a blood test called the PSA. I'm sure a lot of men here have heard about PSA. Have we? PSA, yes. So it's prostate-specific antigen. Basically, in benign disease or non-cancerous disease, PSA is usually low, between 0 to 4. However, when it goes above 4, that's when we should be careful or cautious that it may be prostate cancer. So we advise that all men above the age of 40 should do a PSA. At least one PSA every year. It's just a blood test. So one PSA every year after the age of 40. However, if there's a family history, start early, 35. So by 35, you should start doing your PSA. If the PSA is within 0 to 4, we're okay. But the minute it goes above 4, it means it's a red flag. We need to go further. Going further means doing an MRI of the prostate or a digital rectal examination where the hand is inserted into the anus to try and assess if the prostate is enlarged, one. If it feels abnormal or irregular, that's also another finding. So these are forms of screening. All right, so screening is very important because it saves lives. We've spoken about doing the screening, looking at the PSA levels, doing an MRI to follow up, and also biopsy if need be. Now, how the biopsy is done is that basically a biopsy is taking tissue from the prostate to send to the lab to see if it's cancerous or non-cancerous. Now, this is done with an ultrasound scan. So we put an ultrasound into the anus as well, and then pick some of the tissue with a needle. Once we get this tissue, we send to the lab, and this tells us whether it's benign or cancerous. Now, depending on the outcomes, we then treat accordingly. Now, the biopsy test is just uncomfortable. After the test, there may be some blood in the urine or semen, but it clears usually within 24 hours. And then we put the individual on antibiotics. So this also prevents infection at the end of the day. So biopsies are also important because it tells us specifically whether it's cancerous or non-cancerous so that we look at the next step or what to do. Now, prevention is key. How do we prevent prostate cancer? There are some things that we can do to prevent it. Others we cannot do, such as being a black man. That one we can't prevent it. Such as having a family history. That one we can't prevent it. But intake of red meat, can we? What else? Apart from intake of red meat? Smoking. So there are some things that we can at least avoid or reduce to reduce the risk.
How can we manage stress?
Stress is a difficult one. But what I always say is, if your week is busy, at least try and sleep at least an hour before your regular sleep time. If you try and get at least 6 hours of sleep per night, it's good. You can work through the week, but then you can give yourself the weekend or even one day in the week to sleep on that day. Put your phone off. Prophet Daniel, please, I hope you are listening. Put your phone off. Put your phone off. Do something relaxing. If it's sitting by the beach with the family, something relaxing. So these are forms of reducing stress because apart from increasing risk of cancer, there are also other diseases that stress also increases, such as high blood pressure. So stress should be avoided in full. So some of the preventive methods, exercise is also very important. If you're able to do 30 minutes 3 times a week, you're protected. So we're not saying do 10 hours in the gym per day, no. Only 30 minutes 3 times a week, you're fine, you're protected. And then reduce alcohol intake. That's also a preventable risk factor. So when you go to the next slide, you'll see a lot of colors. Colors are important. Yes, colors are important. Colors signify fruits, vegetables, the healthy things. So add these greens and these colorful fruits and vegetables to your diet. And these will help also prevent or reduce the risk of developing prostate cancer. Now, there's an interesting fact about ejaculation. The more a man ejaculates, the risk of prostate cancer reduces. So studies have found that men who ejaculate about 21 times per month, yes, have a reduced risk. But at the same time, it has to be healthy. Because if it's not healthy and you develop infections, it also increases your risk of developing prostate cancer. So this ejaculation has to be healthy. Hey, there are a lot of questions here. Intentionally, I won't elaborate. All right. So, moving on. when it comes to prostate cancer, early detection has a different management. Late detection also has a different management. Early detection is limited to the gland, so surgery can be done to remove it. Late detection, when it's traveled to other parts of the body, that we have to do either chemotherapy, that is given medication through the veins, or radiotherapy, shining some strong light onto the prostate area. So these are forms to keep in mind when it comes to prostate cancer treatments, whether it's localized or it's advanced. Now, the treatment overview, there are also some people who we do active surveillance for. For instance, elderly patients who are not very strong, we monitor them. We don't go and do any interventions, any rapid interventions. Otherwise, that may even tip them further down. So we do for them active surveillance and watchful waiting. Now, surgery. I mentioned that if it's limited to only the prostate, we can do surgery to remove the prostate gland. We do radiotherapy also to add on as an additional therapy, especially when there's been spread to the bone area. And then we also may give hormones. These hormones stop the growth of testosterone, or they reduce or stop the growth of testosterone, because we know that increased testosterone also increases the risk of prostate cancer. So we also give hormones to reduce this. And then we also give, as I mentioned, chemotherapy and also anti-androgens. Anti-androgens are also the same as the hormone ablation. Now, the side effects of this treatment. We know that the prostate helps with ejaculation. We know that it helps with male health, so to speak. So when we remove the prostate, what will happen? Ejaculation may be a problem. So based on this, some men say, no, I will die with it. But no, we need you alive so that you can support the family and then live a long, fruitful life. So there are other transplants also which are available after this. So that's available to be talked after also. So the stigma is real. Let's all keep in mind that men avoid talking about down there, but down there is very important. And please never say that you will die with it. Please let it go so that you live and support the family, and then we have you around in general. The plan is to normalize talking about prostate cancer, just like breast cancer. We know that for women, every October is breast cancer month. So we do screenings, etc. For men also, we want this to become very common so that we continue raising awareness about prostate health. And it's very forgiving when it's found early. So the key message here is that screen so that we can detect it early and treat. So in conclusion, today, prostate health is crucial. Awareness, healthy lifestyle choices contributes to a proactive approach to managing the prostate. Prostate cancer is very common in men and it runs in families. Therefore, there's a need for screening to start by the age of 40. The testing is easy to do, just a blood test, and there's also treatment. So we should go ahead and test so that if diagnosed, we can get the treatment early. Thank you very much for your attention this evening. And okay, so we're now open to take any questions about the prostate gland and the diseases.
Plenty of questions.
Yes. Okay. So Dr. Wama will make a comment and then we continue.
Thank you very much. I just want to make a comment on the screening. As she did mention, there are factors that we can't do anything about. We call them non-modifiable factors, your age, your sex, your race, okay? But there are things we can modify. We'll talk about alcohol, smoking, diet, exercise, and weight. And screening. Screening is key. The normal PSA, as she mentioned, 0 to 4. But you may have a normal figure and still have cancer. Let me emphasize that. So the main issue here is not the figure. symptoms and watching the progression. So if you have a normal PSA, you don't have any symptoms, praise God. But if you have symptoms, don't sit there and say that your figure is between 0 to 4, so I'm fine, you're not fine. And you may need to see your doctor, and that may suggest they need to do other investigations. For example, we ask for pelvic scans, and the scan will look at what we call the post-void urine. And usually that will tell you if you're having obstruction, the normal bladder performance, if you urinate, you may be left with about 50 mils of urine. If you are older, up to 100 mils. But if you urinate, you empty your bladder, and we do a scan, and we find your urine remaining is more than 200 mils, then it tells that the obstruction is severe. And if you're having symptoms, then they need to think about the biopsy, irrespective of your PSA. So the PSA is important, especially if it's going up, then there's an issue. Don't forget the other issues that will make your PSA go up on its own. That may not be cancerous. For example, if you have a urinary tract infection, it will go up. And we just mentioned if you are aging, it will go up. Now, before you go and do the test, if you have ejaculated, it will go up. So before you go for a test, make sure you haven't had sex or ejaculated at least 24 to 48 hours. If you exercise also, and maybe you ride a bicycle or a treadmill, it affects the prostate, it will go up. Or you do, as we talked about, the DRE or other maneuvers, it will go up. So an elevated PSA with aging may be normal. There could be other factors. But if it comes to symptoms, you should be worried. And they need to follow the figure. So you do it this year. That's the reason why you should do it continuously and watch the figure. Even if it's normal, between 0 to 4 is 2. Next year, it's going to 3, we get concerned and watching for symptoms. And it's going higher and higher, and then we need to look at it closely. And there are times the biopsy may be necessary, but doctors may want to be sure, because the biopsy also comes with complications, infections and all that. And so the other thing, apart from the post-void urine, we also measure what we call the free PSA and the total PSA. When you talk about the PSA in the blood, there are two groups. The free is the portion which is free in the blood, and there's a portion bound to proteins which carry it. So we look at the total and look at the free. If it's BPH, your free PSA may be higher than the bound one. So as against cancer, your free will be less. So that also helps the doctor to tell, we need to go in there and biopsy to see whether it's cancerous or not. So screening is key, but don't just be happy with the figure. Look at the symptoms and observe your results yearly. Don't just do once a year and sit after 5 years. No, follow it up every year. Amen.
I wanted to find out whether frequent ejaculation prevents prostate problems, not cancer per se, but prostate problems.
Frequent ejaculation. In terms of prostate problems, there are 3 main problems there: prostatitis, BPH, and the cancer. Frequent sex exposes to also infections if you don't do it hygienically, and that could lead to prostatitis. Now, prostatitis, Dr. Lively talked about the acute one. There's also the chronic one. The chronic one, you have chronic pelvic pain, painful urination, and it's there every time. And it may not be just infection. You stimulate your immune system to attack the prostate cells, and they keep causing this discomfort. And the more you ejaculate and go into that active, mind you are exposing yourself also to infections. And that could be a trigger for prostate problems.
Hello.
So in conclusion, it's good to have sex. It's good to... So in fact, the studies they perform that you can ejaculate 21... They took two groups, study groups. So one of the groups, they were ejaculating more than 21 times. One of the groups, the participants were ejaculating about 4 to 7 times. And then they realized that those who were ejaculating more than 21 times had a lower risk of prostate cancer. And those who ejaculated less than 7 times a month had an increased risk of prostate cancer. In conclusion, you should have more sex with your partner. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That has been very enlightening. I was a little bit curious following the slides. There seems to be a direct correlation between the level of stimulation of the prostate and the PSA level. I don't know whether that is that a direct correlation?
True.
Okay. Also, with the frequency of sex, I also deduce that there seems to also be a correlation between the level of testosterone. Also, testosterone at a certain level also becomes a challenge. Is that right? Because you talked about the conversion of testosterone to hydroxytestosterone.
Yes.
And the fact that that can build up within the prostate, leading to the enlargement, especially with BPH.
Yes, please.
Now, frequent sexual activity is directly correlated to also a certain level of or presence of testosterone because of libido. Basically, for you to be able to go 21 times in a month, it means you have a healthy libido. Libido has a direct correlation with testosterone.
Okay.
So the logic is not acid where it's not sinking. I need very high level of testosterone to be able to keep up with the level of sexual activity that could amount to 21 times in a month. But at the same time, the level of testosterone is also a direct contribution factor to the acid where the level of stimulation of the prostate because of the conversion of testosterone to hydroxytestosterone. So it's like on one hand, testosterone is good because it gives you the libido to keep up with the pace. On the other hand, the same testosterone is a challenge. I don't know whether the logic, or I'm getting it wrong.
Yes. So you're right. Having increased sex also increases the testosterone levels. But this is where studies have been done over time and have shown that this is what it is. For instance, the reason why it's increased in black men, we don't know. But then they followed up over time and realized that this is what occurs. So for what you're asking, you're right, increased testosterone. So how come it's not increasing the risk? But this is what studies have found. So we're going with that. So that's a mere answer to the question.
Okay, so does that mean if for someone who naturally does not have a high libido, meaning he has a challenge with testosterone, if he now follows up to augment or to supplement his natural secretion through other medications, does that then increase his risk?
Yes, because in the presentation I even mentioned that men who have to take testosterone for other reasons have an increased risk.
Okay.
I did mention that.
So it will mean then that logically, I could then say if you have the capacity to go 21 times naturally, then it's healthy for you.
That is what studies have shown.
So don't attempt to force yourself to go 21 times by augmenting your natural secretions, by using medications and other hormonal treatments.
Well, I would say it depends. Every man is different. That's why when there are problems, they see urologists. You see, okay. There may be a man who has a problem with erection, a problem with ejaculation. They may see the urologist who may put them on certain medications. they may be at the age where they have to reproduce. So they may need that in order to reproduce. So in that case, we won't say it's not good. If it's prescribed by your doctor so that you can perform naturally, there isn't a problem with it.
Okay.
You'll be followed up anyway. There's some women who need estrogen as part of their treatments, normal treatments. It doesn't mean because it increases the risk of breast cancer, we won't give it. We still do give it, but we follow up. Okay. So that's the answer to that question. Okay. Sometimes we need to give certain medications. We weigh the benefits and the risks, and then we give as we follow the patients up.
Okay. I think
so
Dr.
I was trying to disabuse my mind from, as it were, all right, just simplify the whole equation. Make 21 times a month a target. Whichever way you arrive there, you're good. I was trying to get that out.
I don't agree. Everyone's capacity is different. Someone can do 10, someone can do 21. Please, let's not push anyone. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. I just wanted to add a little bit to what she said. Don't forget, like Bible tells us, we are all God's children, but God has given us different abilities. Some may give 1, other 2 or 5. So some may have the ability to go 2, 5 or whatever. Don't compare, don't force yourself. But the issue is there's a genetic predisposition to these cancers. So if you have that genetic predisposition and then you expose yourself to all these risk factors, you are likely to have it than someone who hasn't got that genetic disposition. So he may go free when he's exposed to any of these risk factors. So don't forget about the genes. We didn't mention that. There are specific genes that predispose, especially blacks and those more coming down with this cancer, to have that.
And at the same time, those genetic modifications, you can have BRCA1, BRCA2. That's the same thing that happens when you have breast cancer. So once you have those modifications, we have something we call 8KO24. It's a cluster of genetic cells along the chromosome, which is a chromosomal abnormality. Now, if you have those malignant cells within the prostate, she highlighted that the cells will start growing, and then with time they become very big and then compress on there. So once you have those malignant cells within the prostate, that is when the testosterone and then the dihydrotestosterone effect kicks in, because there are genetic modifications, and then the cells will start growing, and then the dihydrotestosterone is now going to act on it. Normally, if you don't have those malignant cells within your prostate, if you don't have those genetic modifications, then you can go ahead and then have the sex less than or more than 21 times with your partner. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Doc, I want to ask this question. You said the frequency reduces the risk. I want to know whether the studies, was extended to Catholic priests, the fathers. And if it was done, what happened there? We want to know whether they are also experiencing a lot of prostate issues, so that we can advise probably people who want to. Thank you.
I think maybe I should have checked it. Before I came, I was being reminded to look at that question that someone was going to ask about inox when they are castrated and all that, okay? And they don't have sex. I mean, going by the literature, they may stand at risk of developing prostate cancer more. But we haven't looked at the figures. I haven't looked at it, so I can't tell you.
Good evening. Please, I want to ask a question. Although it's not straight connected to prostate cancer, but it's around the organs. And it's about when you have hernia, does it have a problem with the prostate, or would it come with a problem?
All right. So when you have
hernia,
so you have different types of hernia. You can have the groin hernia, That one is common in men. It can also affect women. In fact, because we are talking about prostate, our subject of focus is the men, right? If you have a hernia, right, it can be caused by increase in your intra-abdominal pressure, the pressure in your abdominal cavity. Now, once you have prostate enlargement, you strain. Once you strain, it increases the pressure in your abdominal cavity. Whether it's a cancer or prostate enlargement, once you are straining, it increases the pressure within your abdominal cavity, which will then predispose you to getting a hernia. Now, before you do any hernia surgery, for elderly patients, you want to make sure that the patient doesn't have any prostate enlargement symptoms or prostate cancer symptoms. So yes, it's true. Prostate enlargement can predispose you to getting a hernia.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, doctor. Please, I wanted to know, you said that when you have family history, you are likely to have prostate cancer. Assuming I don't have family history of prostate cancer, and by carelessness I expose myself to cancer, does it mean that beginning from me, my children will not start having the family history of prostate cancer? Thank you.
Yes, it's true. It's genetic. Once getting a cancer, it means that your genes are modified or they are mutated. So once they are mutated from your bloodline, if it starts from you, it means you are going to pass it on to other generations.
Okay. All right. So I wanted to find out, is there any side effect to having elongated lack of sleep? How does it affect your prostate if you don't have constant, probably 6 to 8 hours of sleep each day? And aside that, is there any other behaviors that probably we are taking for granted? Also, how does processed foods also affect the prostate?
All right, so let me start with the processed foods. So the processed foods, they contain nitrates and then nitrites. Those are carcinogens. They are cancer-causing agents. And then they cause something heterocyclic amines. Those are also contained in the preparation of processed foods. So once you are taking that, it means that your predisposition to getting those compounds will then lead you to getting a cancer. And then in terms of the sleep, the stress, once you are not stressful with whatever you are doing, now there is a nitric oxide component which will then cause dilatation, or how do I say enlarge? Your blood vessels will become bigger, and then blood flow will become adequate. In a way, reduce your risk of getting a cancer.
Okay, so Doc, he spoke about processed food. Can you give us some examples so that everybody here will know processed food? Maybe sardine.
I think all canned foods.
All canned foods. So all processed food, canned foods, they are very dangerous. So please, canned food, sardine, geisha, 10 tomatoes, anything in can, baked beans. Okay, so I beg you, sausage.
And the heavily salted,
bacon,
exactly, sausage. Mm-hmm.
Bacon, ham. They are very dangerous. Okay.
Thank you, Papa. So, the very first slide the digital rectal examination, if I can have the slide on the screen. The very first slide, digital rectal examination, the DRE, where we had somebody pushing the finger into a man's anus. Yes. The three of you, the doctors, this says that it's a digital rectal examination. Why do you have someone manually pushing the finger in somebody's anus?
Okay. He talked about the anatomy of the prostate gland. The base sits under the bladder, and the apex is just on the rectum. So when it enlarges, you can feel it when you go through the rectum. And then you can tell its texture and changes on there. And it also helps to tell what may be going wrong with the prostate.
The reason I ask this question is that a number of men, if it has to do with this, seeing doctors with regards to this prostate, they tell you, oh, you can go, the doctor will say this and that, and that. The sweet talk, and then something else happens. This is digital, get on the bed. And then a young, beautiful doctor will come and push the hands in your ass. So thank Papa for this. People are not actually going to report this because of that stigma. And it's eventually affecting them. So if it is not digital and it is manual doing this, let's be frank, and then tell them the examination processes. Because they tell you they can do a surgery and take out the PSI or something, and after which you can't have sex. You see your wife walking around and then getting midnight calls. So be specific. If you take out the glands or whatever you do based on your technical, and the man is not able to have sex, tell them, don't use technical terms. If I take it, you wouldn't be able to ejaculate. You wouldn't be able to have sex with your wife. Then we know the consequences right from the word go.
All right, so thank you for this. Now, before we do the digital rectal examination, digital means digits, finger. Digital rectal.
So everybody thinks it's technology.
Oh, no,
digital.
it's the finger.
Digitalization.
Yes.
Oh,
so the finger going into the anus to assess
okay,
the
so
prostate.
Mr. Kote, dig it, your fingers.
Number one, yes.
So they should make it finger rectal.
And additionally, before we do it, we go ahead to tell you about it. We counsel you about the process before we do, so that we alleviate any fears you may have. Now, the surgery as well. Before we do the surgery, we have you sign a consent form. And this consent form takes into consideration the procedure going to be done, the complications of the procedure, etc. We go through all this for the patient to sign before we do the surgery. It's always part of it. So we don't do it without engaging the patient.
Although I must admit at times some of our colleagues fought in doing that. The education may not be completely done, and then they go ahead. So it may happen, but ideally you're supposed to be educated about it before it's done. Okay.
But these days, ask. When you go to the hospital, ask. The people who go and they don't ask about what's being done for them, they don't ask about the condition they have. So please, you have the right. Always ask.
Last question. Last one.
I'm here. I would like to touch on the issue of stress, because it seems to have an actual or potentially high impact on this issue that you've mentioned. And if it wasn't important enough, it wouldn't have come out as one of the key things to look at. Unfortunately, we don't seem to be doing enough stress management, counseling, or actual treatment if there is the need for it. And that means that, Prophet, I suggest that someday soon you raise it as one of the topics. Because it happens in marriage, it happens at work, it happens right when you're watching telly. Now there are a lot of doctors who are treating. Formerly we used to have a yekoko. Then it became women's mammary glands and all of that. Now prostate seems to be the buzzword. So there are a lot of treatment, not a lot of experts on all of that. And it's still so frightening that even for someone, most of us who don't want to even think about going for tests, is because of that fear, the stress that comes from even thinking about it. Like the gentleman just said, just one single thing stressed him out so much until it was corrected. So I would like you to advise on how we can handle this particular issue. Because It can even threaten the food we take. Someone can be so stressed that he might decide not to eat fruit, or he want more pepper, like I do, or he want more fatty food. And I wonder if he treated the Hausa people who like meat, red meat. All this kind of stress, if it's not addressed, it can even prevent the treatment or the responses. So I would like you to guide us on how we can handle it. Financially, everything. Thank you.
So I think that before the doctors come in, our next live class for the whole church, we will handle stress because it's for everything, high blood pressure, everything. So I think we will get time for that. But at least you can say something a bit with what doctor said.
I think basically stress comes to anything that makes you worry, anxiety. And like our good book tells us, the Bible tells us, we should be careful for nothing. As Christians, we have a solution to stress. If we will learn to cast our burdens onto the Lord, whatever keeps us awake, worrying, troubled, the answer to that, if anyone is troubled, let him pray. We need to ask God to carry the burdens and walk free. It's not easy, but medically, you may need a psychologist to help. A clinical psychologist may do a good job, sit you down and look at your situation and advise how best you can get over that and not get stressed under that. But the key thing about stress, we've talked about the need for sleep, the need to exercise, do things that will make you relax. In other words, that will help you lift up whatever is on your mind off, okay, apart from praying. So I think we'll need a session in a thorough way to deal with stress. But simply put, as individuals, we have the opportunity to cast our cares upon the Lord and walk free from stress.
Wow, thank you very much. I think there's a last question I want us to ask. You know, because of the prostate that has been affecting black men, you see a couple of adverts online in different places that there are supplements for prostate health. What can you talk about it? The way people have supplements for vitamin D and the rest, they talk about those supplements. Although I don't believe in that, but it's now been advertised more. What can we say about that? Yeah.
I was expecting someone to talk about the natural therapy. There are all kinds of therapies being marketed, herbs and all that. When you come to all areas of medicine, allopathic drugs are derived from herbs, okay? But it ought to be scientifically established that this works, and the side effects and the doses. There are centers that work on herbs and be able to tell you this herb does this, this is the dosage, this is the side effects, like all other medicine. But you don't just jump on any herbs or any medication being tried that works without knowing. They will tell you drink this and that. You may harm yourself. Medications, every medication we take goes through one main organ, the liver. And if it toxic, it will knock your liver out. So don't just jump on any natural therapy. Get the evidence that it works and what to watch out for and how it should be taken and all that. Okay. But they are natural. We talked about the vegetables, but there are also other fruits, tomatoes, for example, or the pictures you showed, the colored.
Put the pictures there, please.
Vegetables contain a chemical we call lycopene that protects the prostate. So tomatoes, apples, all those deeply colored fruits and vegetables, greens, they are healthy. Okay. Eat about 5 servings a day. I know in our society, fruits and vegetables are expensive, so we just want to fill our tummy with carbohydrates and there we go. But this is the most important part of our diet.
Wow.
Okay? So that's my advice.
Wow.
And then I would like to say one last thing. There are also some men who prefer the herbal medications over the orthodox medications. We have licensed places also which these can be sought from. For instance, CSIR is one. Police Hospital has a herbal center as well. They are trained from Confanoche. So it's better to seek these trained services than buying just anything from the cars.
That's right. Wow. Thank you very much. Can we clap our hands for them? Thank you very much, Dr. Buama. Thank you very much, Dr. Caro. Thank you very much, Dr. Labi. Clap your hands for them. That's very, very insightful. And our next session will be for the whole church on a live class. Amen. Now, this is the time for the lawyers to come on board for the will. And it's very, very important. It will help all of us, especially with the advent of social media and what has happened of late. Yesterday, we slept and woke up to some news of a court judgment that, has come up and everything. And, all this role and stuff are connected to all these things. People are blaming the lady, people are blaming the brother, people are blaming the lawyers, people are blaming the judge about the judgment that came yesterday, about the whole thing that is trending right now. So I think all of them is serious legal education, and it will help all of us. And funny enough, I was speaking to somebody. We were talking about business today, talking to a lawyer, and the lawyer told me, Prof, the lawyer that worked on the case is your friend. And so today the lawyer called me and said, Charlie, what is happening? Then he explained the whole thing to me. When you look at it from the legal point of view, they have their own view. And when you also look at it from the social media point of view, the street view is a different view. Amen. So the lawyers are going to help us with the will and everything. So Lawyer Fafa and Lawyer Naneukia, clap your hands for them even as they come. Or clap your hands for them. Or clap until they get here. Amen. Thank you. Jesus.
I think I was going to start with scriptures, but I think Pastor E.T. basically gave us all the scriptures. So I think when we talk about will, everybody thinks that we are going to talk about death. But I think will is scriptural. When you go to Proverbs 13:22, it talks about a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. So, and there's a scripture also that talks about God is not an author of confusion. Therefore, Christians as believers, we must put our house in order. Because when you don't do it, the sort of confusion it brings, especially those that are not supposed to be managing your affairs, will be the ones doing it. So I would start, if I can have the slides. Okay, so in Ghana, we have the Wills Act. And the Wills Act is 1971. Act 360. We also have the High Court's Civil Procedures Rules. So if you want to do your will, you have to consult a lawyer. Sometimes you can do it yourself. If you're not a lawyer, you cannot be seen to be doing a legal document for someone. But in the Wills Act, it gives an exception. If you have the knowledge of it, you can do it yourself. But it's always good to consult. There's an exception if you're in the armed forces, because sometimes they go to war. They are exempted. They can do their own will. So, like I said before, a common thought is that many share is that you will die, so you're making a provision when you are no more. Can I have the next slide, please? Okay. This is also one scripture that talks about God. Isaiah telling Ezekiel to put his house in order. So what is a will? A will may be defined as a declaration of your intention of a person making it regarding matters which he or she wishes to take effect upon his death. A will is a legal document as such, and it's advisable to engage a service of a lawyer when preparing it. This is, however, not mandatory, like I explained earlier. It is a criminal offense to hold yourself as a lawyer to do a legal document. I'll stress on that. Because sometimes you have some quaff lawyers, you go to the court, people are standing there, they want to do things for you. I think we all know a lot of lawyers. You know a lot of law firms. You want a document being done for you, you can consult a lawyer to do that for you. If I can have the next slide, please. The importance of a will. Without the will, the individual misses the opportunity of expressing his or her wishes regarding the disposal of your asset, or to convey your intentions, your compassions concerning the support of your family and friends when you are no more. Without a will, someone else will make the decisions for you. A will is one that strategizes and enables a man to manage his estates both in his lifetime and after his death. If I can have the next slide, please. So the formal requirements of a valid will. What is a valid will? A will in Ghana is governed by the Wills Act, as I explained earlier on, and which prescribes strict formalities for execution and content. So the court, these are what the court will look like to render a will valid. A will only takes effect after death. So whatever wishes you put in the will is only upon your death that it will happen. So if you have a property that you want to give it to somebody to enjoy it, you cannot put it in your will. If you are alive and you want somebody to enjoy the will, it will be a gift that you do it inter vivos whilst you are alive. And when you draft a will, you can revoke it. So you write a will, and sometimes maybe your intentions have changed. You can revoke it. And normally, you can revoke it by tearing it up, or you can write a new one. The new one that you're writing has to state that there's an earlier will, that the current will is revoking it. It must be explicit. If it's not explicit in the current will that you're doing, that means the other will still be valid. So sometimes when you do a will, you will say, oh, there was an earlier will, so this new one is not valid. Maybe the person doesn't expressly revoke the earlier one. If I can have the next slide, please. So the formal requirements of the will, the act, that is the Wills Act. Who can make a will? How a will must be executed, the revocation, the executors, the protection of dependents, the wills made outside Ghana. Can I have the next slide, please? So the Wills Act tells us that you must be over 18 to be able to make a will. And then this will dispose your properties, own at debt, or properties which you may later become entitled to. So properties, maybe your father has given you a property and is saying that at a particular age, it becomes yours. If you are drafting your will, because you've been told that that is your property, you can put that in your will. And whilst making the will, you must be somebody of sound mind. if it is detected that at the time you're doing the will, you are sick, or the will was done under duress or undue influence. So duress is maybe you have a son, he comes, manipulated you, and decided that a lot of the property went to him. If one can prove that, a sibling can prove that my elder brother went to my dad, and these are one of the factors where the will can be challenged. And the will must be in writing. It must be something that you must state, it's drafted. Can I have the next slide, please? No, the earlier one. Okay, so it must also be signed. You must have witnesses. So the will must be in writing, and it must be signed. Before you do the will, there are two people that you must choose. They are your executors. And somebody will ask, who is an executor? So the executor will be the person when you die. He will be the one who the court will recognize as the person that will administer the will. You must choose two of them. The executor cannot be a beneficiary. So somebody that is benefiting from the will cannot be an executor. So sometimes people, you trusted persons, most of the time they are pastors or a friend, a trusted friend. And there must be two. You must also have witnesses. So the witnesses must be present when you sign the will. There are times where you have somebody that's blind who's making a will, or an illiterate. So for that situation, there must be somebody there. There must be the witnesses must be present, and somebody must read the intentions, because the blind person or the illiterate person must have stated his intentions to the person. It must be read over to the person to understand those are his wishes, and he agrees and signs before the witnesses. Can I have the next slide? So recently we had a judicial circular about the deposit of a will. So when you finish drafting the will, one of the things that you have to deposit the will in the High Court. You can also keep one in a safe place. Some people decide to keep it in a safe in the bank or a safe in the house. But there's been a recent circular that when you are depositing the will in court, it must be accompanied with a passport picture. A withdrawal of a will as well, because you can deposit a will, and if you want to change it, you can withdraw it from the court and either rewrite a new one and then deposit that new one. Now, the court has given a circular that when you're doing that, it must come with a passport. The testator, that means the person doing the will, it must accompany it with a passport. Can I have the next slide, please? Next slide. So I've talked about this one already. So with the executor, the appointment of executor, the executor must be at the age of 21. You know, the testator doing the will must be 18 and over. But for the executor, it must be 21 and over. Can I have the next slide, please? And then for the witnesses, there must be 2 witnesses attesting the will. And then both witnesses must be there at the same time. One cannot sign and then one day and then one at the other time. Can I have the next slide? I think I've talked about this one already. Okay, so interviews, I think when I was talking about gifts, I said you can either give a property whilst you're alive. So for interviews, What does it mean? It is when you transfer a property or an asset to someone whilst not the person whilst you're alive. Once validly made, it generally takes effect immediately. You know, with a will, if you depose a will, the person acquires the property upon your death. For inter vires, it takes effect immediately. So sometimes, most people, when they don't want confusion, they basically do inter vires gift to all their children. So you can have somebody having 30 properties, and you probably think it's all in the will, but he's done inter vires gifting them. What he has to do is to do the paperwork and then change it into the various people, their names. Can I have a next slide? So I think I've talked about revocation of the will. A will may be revoked by physically destroying it with intention to revoke. Written declaration of revoking the executed will. Or a later will expressing revoking the earlier one. Sometimes you revoke it because of inconsistency. You've realized that what you did before, that's not maybe a property that you've deposed in the will. Maybe you share it with brothers, so you need to take it back and then redo it. An important rule: distraction under fraud, mistake, and undue influence does not amount to revocation. If I can have the next slide. So, a gift lapse. Sometimes you have a beneficiary in a will who will die before, and the testator is alive. So we call that the gift as elapsed. So normally, I was even discussing with Nana, and I think I'll give the phone mic to Nana. So I'm a testator, I do a will, and I want to give my house in cantonment to someone. But the person passed before the will become effective, because the will becoming effective, touch wood, when the person is no more. So normally, because you cannot depose it, the property has not become, or the person that was supposed to acquire the property hasn't become ownership. So it comes back to the testator. So it normally goes into the residual or the testator. So I've deposed the property to someone, but the person passed on before me. That is what we call lapsing of gift. It comes back into the person's estate. Yes. Next slide, please. So, the provision of dependent. Even where there's a valid will, the High Court sometimes intervene. And with that one, we don't have specific rules when the High Court will, but they have been, because of case law, we know where there is no reasonable provision for the spouse or a child under 18. That is when there is a valid will, the court will intervene. Or hardship will result by basically adhering to what is in the will. Application must be made within 3 years from the grant of the probate. The court may order lump sum payment, periodic payment, grant of life interest in the property. Can I have the next slide? Sometimes too, people ask, if I'm in London and I have property in Ghana, can I make a will concerning the properties? Yes, you can. So a will executed outside Ghana is valid, but it must comply. If there are procedures of how will is done in the UK, you must make sure that you've complied with that. You will receive all the necessary notary and everything, because it concerns a property. So, one, the place of where is executed as to where you are executing the will, the law of the domicile, the law of your nationality, and then the law of habitual residence. During your lifetime, a person may deposit their will at the High Court under seal. I think I've mentioned that already. So after that, any person holding a testamentary document may deposit it within 14 days. Failure to do so is a punishable offense, either by a fine or an imprisonment up to 10 years. So if you have, okay. Yes, I think I've talked about the revocation already. Okay. So the contents of a properly drafted will. A standard one will contain the title of the will. Normally we say last will and testament. It will also have your full name and your address. And then most will always have a revocation clause, so that we'll be able to either change the will or revoke it. It must have also the name executors. Appointment of your executors. It must be 2. It must also have, if you are somebody, maybe you've taken a loan or you owe money, you want to know maybe there's a property, a rental income, you want that to be used to pay the debt. They must have a payment of a debt clause. And then now it comes to the specific gifts, the properties, the assets, stocks, bonds. Basically, everything that you own, that when you are no more, you basically state how it should be disposed of. And the beneficiaries who are supposed to be your jewelry, your cars, everything that you own. Then you have the residual clause. Those are a residual clause where you put in the things that you will acquire later. Because you are making your will, maybe you are 40. You don't get to change it again. So you state, and with that one, sometimes you have a residual clause saying that anything that I acquire later on should go to my wife and my children and unborn children. That is the way it is. And then you have your signature and your witnesses. It's very important. You cannot have a will that is not signed. And after you sign the will, the signature must be the last. You cannot write, depose anything after the signature. The next one. I think I've talked about the capacity. You must be 18. You must identify the assets, i.e. what you're going to be deposing in the will. You must identify your beneficiaries. The beneficiaries are your children. You want to give something to your mother. Anybody. Sometimes people think that when you are writing the will, it has to be just your children. Sometimes people write will and they are deposit something to their church. They have a house and they want the rental income to the property lifetime. Maybe the rental income should be paid to the church for the church lifetime. So you have to choose competent executors, people that you know they are not going to fight with your children. Trusted people that you know when you're not there, your wishes will be carried out. And then the will, sometimes you read certain wills. I've seen different types of wills. But the language is so ambiguous. You don't even understand what it's trying to say. So it must be as simple as possible that any lay person takes it. Although it will be the court that will administer the will. But it must be very simple because it's human beings that you are deposing the property to. That when it's read in court, they will understand it. I think I've talked about witnesses signed in the presence, attestation clause, and it must be stored safely in the High Court. If I can have the next slide, please. Okay, Nana, it's your turn. So I'll hand over to Nana to talk us through probate administration and will or without will.
Okay, good evening, everybody. So I'll just go. I think we're running out of time. So part 2, we're talking about the probate administration and the administration of wills in Ghana, with or without a will. So we have CI 47, that's the High Court rules. So when you go to each court, from circuit to High Court to appeals to Supreme Court, there are rules. So you can't just go and start talking. You have to follow the rules. So you realize that this is just an aside, but I'll just make it quick. You realize that some people go to court, the case is not even dealt with, but there are technicalities. So in Ghana, we have certain lawyers that we as lawyers know their worth. But what they are good in is technicalities. Because some lawyers can be very good, but they don't follow the rules. So the judge will just throw out your case because you didn't follow the rules. So the CI 47 governs the High Court. So it provides the framework. So Order 66 of that rule deals with probate and letters of administration. So it sets out the procedures for obtaining authority to administer a deceased person's estate. So the estate is what your property is. So what you've listed in the will. So it's whether it's through a will, which is a probate, or without a will, which is a letters of administration. In Ghana, when the person doesn't write a will, fortunately, Jerry John of blessed memory caused a law to be passed, which is the interstate succession law. So if you didn't do a will, then you go under an early. So Order 66 governs the procedure for the grant of a probate, LA, administration of estates, contentious probate proceedings. When Lawyer Fafa was speaking, she talked about a will must be signed by witnesses. So when the witness is signing the will, you have to be in the presence of each other and the testator. And then there must also be an attestation. If there's no attestation clause, the legality becomes a bit difficult to support. So you need to have the three of you present, and that statement that says that this will was done in the presence of X and X and the testator. So those are the little things, that contentious things that sometimes will come in a probate proceeding. And she also mentioned that when you have a will, you should make sure that if you're doing a new one, revoke the old one. So you should have a revocation clause in the new one. The tricky thing is that somebody can get married. You can be married to Ajua Mansa. Then you divorce Ajua Mansa. But you know, men are funny. Some men are a bit funny. You know, even though they've left Ajua Mansa, they are still holding on to some string or grudge or something. So they don't want to deal with anything that they have to talk about Ajua Mansa or go and refer to Ajua Mansa, or even now do things that they did for Ajua Mansa with a new person. So they don't go and touch the will. Then come the person's death, you have another Ajua Mansa, unfortunately, as the current wife. So you now go to court, probate reads the thing, lawyer for Ajua Mansa new is there. Ajua Mansa old has a hint that her name is in the thing. So you said to my wife, Ajua Mansa. Problem. Now new wife too is Ajua Mansa. It would go for probate proceeding. So if you are not lucky and the old Ajua Mansa is strong, or the new Ajua Mansa is strong, trouble. So you should make sure that you are clear. If you make a will and your circumstances change, please, men, go and change the will. Whether it's your wife or a child that has passed, like she mentioned, if there's something that will lapse and you want to make sure you decide how it is distributed, go and change it. Otherwise, it's going into residual. When it goes into residual, there are all kinds of formulas that will be used, and it brings problems. Because usually when the whole thing is not divulged properly, it's as if you haven't concluded, and then thing is hanging. Yes, so like we've put on the slide, a valid will go for probate, and then no will is letters of administration. Yes, so once the executor is named in a will, it's the executor that will go for probate. He has the legal mandate to go. You can also name a substitute executor, so that assuming that executor A is not around, this person should be the one to administer the devolution of the property. So I think she's already mentioned the capacity of the executor already. So the person must be at least 21 years old and of sound mind, and somebody who is not too contentious. Somebody who has a good relationship with the people that you've listed to is also one thing that you should take in mind. Yes, he shouldn't be bankrupt. Because you see, when the executor doesn't have money, then he's looking into what can be. Sometimes they can be very contentious. They can be even litigating the thing before it even goes to court. I won't go. This one, in fact, he told me this. I remember causing confusion. So you have to be careful when you're choosing who should be your executor. It should be a trusted person. Somebody who will not go and whisper to your firstborn who has become rich and has 3 private jets. That you know something, your father, he wants to give this thing. Confusion. So you have to be very careful. You choose carefully. Next slide, please. Okay, so when it comes to the LA, where there's no will, there are certain people that the law grants them the right to go for an LA. So it's usually either the surviving spouse, the children, the parents, siblings, or next of kin. Sometimes we've had situations where the children are there, the wife is there, then there's a next of kin or an ebusuapenyi. It becomes a problem. The ebusuapenyi will now be telling the children that, no, I have to go for the early. So sometimes that one also becomes very contentious. So it's better you just, please, write a will, just do a will, so that you put your house in order. And also make sure that my principle with doing a will is, don't let your toil go to waste. You have toiled for, from stress to prostate to wee not coming properly and all that, only for you to leave what you have toiled for people to fight over. We have people who properties are still being fought over for 50 years. You have pocket transport, you have all kinds of things. They will litigate and litigate and litigate, all to naught. So I think that you should, I don't even want to teach you about it. Please write a will, so that we will all be comfortable. And when you sleep in your grave, you'll be happy with the angels. Next slide, please. I think I've already done this. Okay, so to be able to get a probate, an application is made by an originating motion, which is a petition, and it's supposed to be supported by an affidavit. This you definitely need a lawyer to do, to help you. But then these are the things that will be required. They'll need the death certificate, the original will, the affidavit of the executor, the oath of an executor, the statements of assets, liabilities, and then sureties if required. Next slide, please. Okay, there must also be, an application must be advertised. So you put it in the papers, you post it on the court notice board, and sometimes it allows for objections. Sometimes maybe, even though somebody has willed something to you, maybe he has some debt. So somebody will come up and say, oh, he owes me this, or somebody will say, oh, he gave me something to keep in trust. So that can go in a residual for distribution. Okay, so there's also a caveat procedure. Like I was saying earlier, somebody may just come and say, no, he owes me this, you can't do this, I'm putting a caveat. I don't think that this is what my father wanted to say. You know, at the time that my father made the will, if I look at that period, he had temporary insanity, you know, or he had become a bit alcoholic. And there was this son that was going with him everywhere to the bank. I think that he has influenced him. You know, he's coerced, or like she was saying, under duress. If you don't do this for me, I will tell my mother that you brought a woman to the house. You know, all kinds of things. And these things may seem like fiction, but they happen. They are realities. So you have to. So there's a procedure for caveat. The applicant must then issue a warning. The caveator must enter appearance, and the matter becomes contentious for the probate. Where validity of will is challenged, issues may include, like I said, lack of capacity. The person was not too sound. He had just had surgery, so he thought that he was going to die. And at that time, you know, it was only one child that had money, you know, or one child that paid the hospital bill. So I think that he was influenced. He wasn't of proper, you know, right frame of mind. And then also undue influence. And then contentious probate too can come up when there's like fraud, or there's suspicious circumstances, or improper execution. So there's no attestation, or maybe one person signed, and then just as the person was going to die or later, the person said, oh, I had planned to come and sign. My name is there, so I'm now, you know, all those irregularities. Time limits. So for the Wills Act, it must be within 3 years of the grant of probate. They have to deal with the will. And then caveats operate within statutory validity periods. And then also estate accounts must be filed within the time that the court will direct. Next slide, please. Okay, so where there's no will, like I said, interstate, you still need most of the same thing: the death certificate, affidavit of intestacy, list of beneficiaries, sureties, and then the list of what the dead or the deceased has. So the administrator, not an executor in the case of a no will situation, will now enter into an administration bond, provide sureties and guarantee faithful administration of the property. The failure may result in revocation. Under probate law, personal representatives must collect the assets. They must pay funeral expenses, pay debts, pay taxes, distribute the estate, and also render accounts to the family. So they act in like a fiduciary capacity. That's what I'm saying, that sometimes the Bushapeni will now step in and say, I am the family head. So you, child, please, you don't have locus here. I'm in charge of doing the funeral and this, so I'll do the early. And sometimes it can be a bit daunting for the family members. Okay, so here you just file the inventory, the accounts, citation. The failure of this may lead to citation, revocation, or removal of some of the properties. The court may revoke probate or administration where there's fraud, false suggestion, concealment of material facts. The Bushapeni knows about some cocoa farm. He will not add it, all kinds of, you know, things that they conceal, those kind of material facts. So if it's found out later, then the administration of it becomes defective. Okay, so and then in the case of a will, the executor becomes incapable. Okay, so this is what happens after there's a grant for the estate process. So now they share, they publish notice to creditors, they settle debts, and then they distribute what is left. Because once you have debt, assuming the person has a bank loan and all that, they take those ones out before you can share the distribute the residue. Yes, so all these must comply, whether it's a will or whether the deceased died intestate. Special situations. If the executor is abroad, he may appoint an attorney, which is a lawyer, to apply for probate. If there's also a minor, somebody can do it on behalf of the person. A trustee must hold the property until that time. So if, for instance, you have children, you make a will for your children, and then you die before they are 18, there has to be a trustee. Sometimes people put in their will that until this person is this person should take care of the property, and if it's investment, they should invest it till it yields X amount. So you have to be specific in your will. Yeah, special situations may affect just disputed assets. So somebody may say that for this particular one, my father or my brother asked me for money to go and purchase it. So I have interest in it. This is the document. Sometimes people can actually show you that they gave the person the money to do this. So they want to take out their money before the beneficiary takes over. So sometimes it becomes disputed. And then for such situations, the court will issue directions. Okay, so this is just, I think that once I've gone through, I think we know the difference. Let's just go to the next slide. Similar with this same final distribution is still the same. All liabilities have to be resolved. Claims, any claims that may come up has to be dealt with. And the court must be satisfied that administration is properly done. Improper distribution exposes representatives to personal liability. So that's pretty much the theoretical side of it. Thank you.
Well, clap your hands. Very, very insightful lawyer, for fine lawyer, Nanekia. Thank you very much. So if you are here, you have any question at all, let's all. Plenty questions.
Good evening, Kansas.
Good evening.
You didn't talk about power of attorney. If there's a case currently, a family member was sick for a stroke, so he gave power of attorney to the brother. He passed last 2 weeks, passed away. And then the brother has withdrawn 250,000 from the account. The wife is there, they have children, but they don't have the. But when does it end? The power of attorney, when does it end? When you give power of attorney, I no more.
What was the power of attorney in regards to? Because
the man was sick.
And give the power of attorney to maybe a brother.
The brother, yes.
When the man died, the brother has gone to take 250 from the account. 250K.
Yes.
So that means that the
power of attorney.
Yes.
Okay, so the power of attorney was in respect of banking transaction.
Yes, please.
Okay, because when you talk about power of attorney, people think power of attorney is in perpetuity. When you are doing a power of attorney, maybe I'm traveling, I want to rent my house. I can give Nanekwe a power of attorney to administer the rental of that particular house. Yeah. That doesn't mean that that power of attorney will say so. It won't. Nanekwe cannot do other things. So that power of attorney, we have to check that power of attorney what it says. If he was able to withdraw money from the bank, then that means that power of attorney was in respect of banking transactions, and he's giving one to the bank as well. So he withdrew the 200,000 for what?
He said the man has not even been buried though. And then so the wife came to the family, and then she was complaining that this is what is happening.
But the wife was there and he gave power of attorney to his brother?
His brother, yes. That is it. Okay. So as at now.
So what's your question?
So the question is, when does it end? The power of attorney.
It doesn't end.
It doesn't end.
So
Not until a will is read.
no. So this power of attorney, it should have had a duration. Or
Yeah, but that's what we don't know. We didn't know.
so he has to so you see, this will fall under an early matter. But he does not have, you see, once somebody dies, you can't touch his property. Because it is a subject for distribution. So you can't go and take it unless, like she's saying, the details of the attorney that he had says that maybe pay X, Y, Z. You know, some people can be very trickish. They know that it is for something specific, but he won't say. So you two will be shouting, you have got to take 250,000. Maybe he knows what is in the power of attorney. So you need to see the details of what is there. But once a person dies, you can't touch it. Especially, like I said, you see, you have to even publish that this person has died. Creditors will come, debtors will come. You have to announce it. So you can't touch the person's property once the person is dead.
So in this case, what is the wife should do now?
She has to go to court. She has to go to court.
Because you are saying that you notice the bank that the man has passed. So that if the man goes for the money, maybe the court can say that the bank can say that no. There is this.
Exactly. So you need the death certificate. That's what I'm saying, that once somebody dies, maybe I should have added that. Once somebody dies, that's why people take it to even banks that they are not sure whether the person even has an account there. They take it to stop all transactions. So that person, the wife must do that. You have to notify the bank or something that the person is dead. Once they do that, please, let her use a lawyer. Once they do that, the bank will not withdraw. Will not give them the money when the person comes to withdraw.
Okay.
Have you seen the power of attorney?
No, we have not seen it. The person just came and complained to the
So
family.
how do you know that there's a power of attorney?
Yes, the wife told us that there's a power of attorney given to the brother. When the man was sick, the brother came for it was the senior brother who was sick. So the junior brother came for the brother and sent him away, taken care of.
But I'm repeating it, like the power of attorney is not forever. Every power of attorney will have specific things that.
So maybe it was done because the man is not well. Since he's not well, he cannot sign. So let my brother sign after a particular time. But he's taking advantage.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
let the wife take
Get a copy and then
Good. Next person.
Get a lawyer.
Let's
Hello.
go.
So I want to know.
Hello, can I add something? A power of attorney ends immediately the person dies.
Yeah, that's what I'm
So
saying.
if the person, if his brother or whoever went to the bank, it's fraud. They must report to the bank and the police immediately.
Yeah.
You can even refund
Very
it.
serious.
Very serious.
Yeah. Let's go.
So I want to know, in a situation where the person that is supposed to execute the will is dead and the substitute is also dead, who will now execute the will? The court. So
Step in. Sometimes the lawyers are able to let the court deal with the matter, but sometimes too, the court will appoint, I think they look within the family and get somebody to indirectly administer. So it's like the person is in charge, but they are saying X, Y, Z. Because the will, if you lodge it properly, what you have stated is already there. So it's something that will be like residual or something that you own or you acquired after you made the will. That is not there. Then the court will now look at how to share that part.
okay. So I also want to know, in a situation where a beneficiary is dead, somebody is supposed to benefit from an estate, who then now becomes the beneficiary?
So that's what she mentioned it.
Yes.
It lapses.
It goes back to the testator, the person who owns the property.
So it goes into the, let's say, residuary account.
Okay.
So it will be the excess, and that will be shared. Like again, you put yourself in the, should I say, in the hands of somebody who didn't help you acquire the property or doesn't know what you really would have done or who exactly you would have given it to.
Amen. Please, I wanted to know
ask a
about.
question, please.
Will is about ownership, right? It's not about gender. So it looks like the will is about only the men. What about women? Because these days women build businesses and have property. Women have to write the will and also distribute.
We never said it's about women.
It's just that I think, like Papa said, because it was a program for men.
Men.
That's why we are speaking to men. But women also write wills. Okay. Because these days, like you are saying, maybe the woman has a lot of businesses. And the woman is not sure whether if she dies, her children will enjoy, or you have other children. You see, women, we are very mechanical. So we think about all kinds of things. So we don't want the property that I have suffered for to go to another woman's children, forgetting that it's still the same man that she was with. So women also do wills.
Good.
Like, for instance, the case that Papa was talking about. It happens in wills and also in divorce cases.
Thank you. Please, I would like you to tell me about the disadvantage of legally bound will, if there is disadvantage in it. Then another one is, if I do a will and I allocated some property to my wife, and I put in my will that the one I give to my wife will take effect after 10 years if I die. And my wife must remain married to me even to the grave. Even to the grave.
Please.
No, let me finish. Lawyer, you are here to help us.
Yes.
Let me finish. In my will, I put there that they are not listening to me. They are talking. No, let them listen. Can I continue? Okay. If I put in my will, whatever I give to my wife will take effect after 10 years if I die. Then within that 10 years, my wife must remain married to me even in the grave. If I'm coming, please. I'm going somewhere, please listen. So it means that if she don't remain married to me, she will not be entitled to what I give to her. So along the line, she decided to stay so that she can get what I give to her. It's not up to 10 years and she died. And me already died. Who will benefit what I gave to her? Where will that thing go to? Thank you.
So I'm sure.
Wow, for 1 minute.
Yeah.
The reason why he's asking the question, say you are Nigerian, right?
Yes, sir.
I've seen a lot of Nigerian wills like that. Plenty Nigerian men, that's how their wills are. Yeah. That's what they normally do. Nigerians. Am I saying the truth?
Correct.
Plenty of them.
So
so it's very common.
Yes.
So it's good that you've asked.
No, Papa, before Fafa comes in, it happens in Ghana.
Oh, really?
Yes. There are even people who, they will say that, sometimes when they have, let's say, a second wife. Or their children's stepmother. So the father or the man will say that, please let her live in the house until she dies. Because you see, sometimes their children may say they want to move the person and then rent the place. But sometimes when you are in your old age, movement and things, so the person wants the person to be comfortable. So I have an uncle, he lived in Sekondi, he died. He said they should leave his second wife to be in the house until she dies before they do anything with the house. So that one is very normal. And you see, the thing is, be clear what you want, and the court cannot vary your intention. What you put in the will, whether is palatable to your child's ears, to your spouse, even if you go and give it to your girlfriend, the court cannot say that, hey, look at the wife, she doesn't have it. Please, that is what the man wrote. So that is what the court will do.
I think Nana has answered it all.
Yeah, you can answer now.
I said Nana has answered it all. But it's just because you answered. But I think that what he asked was whether the 10 years the woman also dies.
Yes.
But probably maybe then it will go back to the woman's will. If she did a will, how she disposed of that particular, because at the 10th year it becomes hers. So maybe in her will she might have given directions in her will. Do you understand? Okay. And then if she dies intestate, the intestates will share it as to surviving children, next of kin, and all that. If it's in Ghana. Okay. I don't know about Nigeria.
All right. I wanted you to talk about the disadvantage of the will.
The disadvantage?
Yes.
I mean, I was telling another, sometimes I found it where sometimes some of the judges will feel like the what is stated in the will is very harsh, because you I don't know at what age you are talking about, but the woman might want to marry. She might want to remarry, you know, but so putting a clause there and saying that she cannot marry till 10 years' time. Sometimes it takes the discretion of the judge. Although the judge will respect the wishes of the testator, but sometimes you will have a judge on that day, she's very compassionate. And, you know, but your wishes in the will is what will be on it, like Nana said. You understand? Yeah.
Another comment I want to make in such similar scenario is where the testator has several children. So if he says to my children, now there's a problem. Children in the marital home want to say that they are the children, but the law and the courts will not look at that. Yes. They would, any person that you've held out, even as your child, it could be even somebody that you're stepping in as a guarantor. You're stepped in for the person and you were taking care of the person, assuming the person was an orphan, and you've stepped in as a guarantor, let's say in the UK or somebody, the person is going to school. The courts will recognize that person as a child. And once the child is legitimate, I always say that there's no illegitimate child. There are illegitimate parents, but there's no illegitimate child, because once there's a father and there's a mother, there's a child. So that's where, for instance, the judge will step in and say, no. I don't think that he meant only the children in the marital home. He meant his children. So then they can step in and decide on how to share the property.
Hello, good evening. Please, I want to ask, if you have children and you have money, sending them to school and building houses for them, which one is the best?
We being lawyers will say education. I don't.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
I did not say.
Hello. Hello. So, my question is, in a situation where there's no will, and one of the child feels like they were there for their parents when they were sick, like on the verge of they being about to die, and the child feels like they're entitled to the fact that they were helping financially, they were there emotionally and all that, and they need some compensation. What can be done for that child in a situation like that?
The compensation is only one, which is what is written in the law. So the law, the interstate succession law, has the, should I say, the portion, a fraction, the formula. And that's where, once again, I'll go back to why Papa says that everybody, please, write a will. Because you see, if you don't write a will, and you have one house, you have 8 children, recipe for disaster and problems and confusion and conflict. This person will not, you see somebody has even gone to lock the gate. They won't even allow you to rent the house for you to share. Somebody say, me, I'm not interested in renting. Me, I want to sell. It's confusion, please. And if you are the one by your parents when they are sick, encourage them to write a will so that problem will not come after they are gone. So you do it out of, should I say, it's your duty to take care of your parents. So when you do it, please, don't say that because I was the one who paid. Like Papa gave an illustration. The people, the pastor, was he a pastor? When Mary and Joseph met him on the way, and he saw the robbers, he turned away, not because he didn't want to help. He did not have a donkey. If you don't have donkey, you cannot do. Somebody too may have money and knows that whether you do they said this man is only 1 month, he will die. Whether you use your money or you don't use your money, I'll still get my portion, especially if it's interstate. But do it because it's a responsibility. It's a Christian obligation that you have to do. Yes, you are helping your father or your mother because of what they've gone through. And like Papa said, the investment, they have taken you to school. In Tree, they say, oh, he need on a bar. What does that mean? When the child goes out, he sees that somebody has bought a new shoe for his child. But maybe the love that your father has for you is even more than the shoe. But it's just that he doesn't have the money. So when you are doing it, just do it. Otherwise, those are the things that end up in fights, bitterness, contention, and all that.
Yeah, but sometimes it's frustrating when you've helped financially, especially, and then now other siblings are coming in to fight for the same thing that you feel like you spent a lot of money on when your dad was.
Encourage your dad to write a will. And please, because not you, I mean not you as in you, but, and then because people, we hear of these things, we should also advise ourselves. Write a will or make a will.
Hello, good evening. Concerning revocation of the will, you said that a will can be revoked when it is torn. And you also mentioned the fact that when a will is made, it should be lodged at the High Court. So is it the one at the High Court that will be torn or the one in the house? Which, can you please explain exactly the one that's supposed to be torn to revoke that will?
So revocation of a will, wherever you lodge a will, you have to go for return, tear it. So you write to the High Court and request for the will. So you have to destroy both, the one at home and then the one in the High Court, and then replace it with a new one.
You can also make a legal document to revoke it.
Yes.
So the same procedure that you use to do the will, you write, this of this address, I made a will this date, this instrument has revoked that one, and then you go and lodge it.
You lodge a new one. And in the new one, there must be the clause.
Yes.
That the previous one dated this date has been revoked by this one. Yeah.
Okay, so my question is in relation to his question. So you spoke about encouraging like your parents to
write a will.
Yes, during the sick period.
During what?
Like when they were on their sick bed.
No, when they are fit.
No, please, my question is in relation to something.
Oh, okay.
Naniki said. So she was saying that we have to encourage them to write the will. But then my question here is as though you are luring them to like compensate you, because like at that state you'll be encouraging them, you tell them that, oh, maybe it's good to do this and that, but then there can be evidence that maybe you want them to compensate you, and that would
exactly. And then as Nana said, we must do things for our parents, not wanting anything back. That I think is biblical. You know, because in the Bible it says that honor thy father and thy mother, and it's for the longevity of your life. So everybody here, if you're young and you're doing something for your dad, even if your father has 10 properties, don't be eyeing it. Pray for God to bless you with your own. You shouldn't even be looking at what your father has, because the Bible also says that you do more than your father and your mother, and that is the way it should be. Because I think I don't know what situation where he's asking that question, but I'll use myself as an example, and I'm not ashamed of it. I have 18 siblings, and I was very close to my dad Very, very close. I mean, I was very close to my dad. And I always used to think, when he passed, we will fight. Oh, I mean, we are 18. I remember he would tell me, oh, I want to give you my house document. I said, no, I'm not taking your house document. Keep it. I encouraged him to write a will. He didn't. And as a lawyer, I wouldn't take the steps to do it because I'm a lawyer, my other siblings would think whatever even his wishes will be if I write it in there. But he didn't. But I loved him and looked after him till he passed. And one of the things he told me, I want to have a peaceful around me. And I made sure of that. Because although I took a bigger responsibility with some of my siblings, we were not doing it to look for anything back. And I think that is one of the key. When your parents also feel that you are pushing them to write a will because of what you're doing for them, I think it deters them not to do it. It deters them. So do things in love, but always also drop it for them to do it because it's not the chaos. Because a lot of the chaos that we've seen is because it wasn't done. And when one sibling feels, I'm doing so much for my dad, so I want something back, that also kind of like, that is why the others that are not doing anything, they say, okay, money we will fight. So do it with the notion that you don't want anything back. I think that also kind of like ease the tension.
Please, my question is, assuming that my lifetime I settled maybe Akusia with a property, is it okay to state it in my will that I have settled this person? That is the reason why I'm not including her in my will.
No. I mean, your will is supposed to dispose of things that you haven't. So a property that you've given 10 years ago cannot be part of it. That is why, I talk about something called intervivals gift. So that one in your lifetime, you've already given it to Akosia. You've transferred it to her. And then if you decide in the will, you won't give Akosia anything. I mean, to repeat it in the will. The will is supposed to dispose of things that you have not already given out.
And then also, we forgot to mention, if you are an illiterate, you can use your thumbprint, to thumbprint your instead of signing.
Before Mr. Kote comes, what about the ones they do video?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, video.
Sometimes blind people and illiterate, they want, especially like a blind person.
Some people do audio.
Yes.
Sometimes it depends. It becomes a bit contentious.
Yes. It becomes a bit contentious.
Especially now that
AI
can.
Somebody can be talking for you.
It will even be worse because somebody can bring anything and say that this was him when he was alive. He said that. No. That's why they say write it. It must be a written testamentary that you're doing X, Y, Z.
Okay, Mr. Kote. Thank you.
So even when somebody is very sick and cannot write, you see that they bring maybe witnesses, and then also, let's say the lawyer is there and the witnesses are there and then the executors are also there, and make sure that this is what the person, even that is a recipe for challenge.
Yeah, challenge. So sometimes too, you have people with your children or whatever. Don't ever let any child practice signing your signature, because the will is your signature, and people, your witnesses signing in your presence. So you have a situation where the young man, they have the same initials, like he's Amoateng, but Daniel Amoateng, and the son too is Daniel. So they have the same initials, and they can sign the same signature. Sometimes people do that. The son can sign, they sign the same signature. It should, refrain from doing that. Because somebody can sign your signature as if you signed it. And so far as the signature is there, whoever witnesses he uses and everything, you have where in situations where it's been very contentious, you think that is the father that signed it.
Thank you. Her Lordship, and then Nanek here. The problem we have with the will is that because of its sensitive nature, in your courts, are you able to handle privacy? What level of privacy do you have in your courts? Because the will leaks out most often than not before the tester. What is that? The test. The one who wrote the will pass.
Testator dies.
The tester. Yeah.
It's very true.
Number two. Most people are in positions where they wouldn't want to tell you the exact properties that they have, especially the politically exposed persons or other people who work in diplomatic or sensitive institutions. There is something we call the CAGE, Computer-Aided Job Evaluations. Now, there are organizations that will want to seek your exact property, and they are able to tread into your will that you have written, because most of these assets are left in the hands of the power of attorneys. You may not want it to reflect because of one or two administrative reasons. So you give them the properties that you want to give to your children, especially, you leave it in the hands of the power of attorney until the one dies. But unfortunately, some of these wills that are deposited in your courts find a way out. True or false?
It's very true. I mean, because we've seen situations like that, we've seen some that has leaked. But I don't think, recently I have not heard of any leakage of a will. But it's happened before. Yeah,
I'm sure it's a very rare occurrence. And once again, I think we've even had somebody say that, my father died, he was doing business with this person, the person took the money away. We hear some even in the church. So sometimes it's more of a personality thing than the process or the procedure where the court where it's lodged. It's not necessary, because really, the court clerk doesn't know X or Y, or doesn't really care who you are leaving your property with. So it's even if I haven't heard, but I'm saying even if it happens, it will be. But the person will not even know whether his father has lodged their will. Will you go? If I were a clerk, I'll chop your money, because are you coming every time to say, has my father lodged a will? It's a bit. So it must be something that, like I'm saying, maybe the person you gave the power of attorney to, or somebody who knows about. It's a rare occurrence.
Okay, so apart from the courts, where can they keep courts? Where again?
People keep it in the bank, in a vault.
Okay.
Because in a vault you can
what
actually.
What about bedroom?
Yes, you can.
People keep it in the bedroom, but that's where the forgery comes about. So you are better off keeping it in the court, safely. So sometimes some people don't know that there's a will that has been lodged in the court. So they go and forge. Then when you go, they tell you there's a will here. Even if it's even genuine, because there's one that is lodged and you haven't revoked that one, they will use that one. So that's why all these steps are very important. If you do a new one, go and revoke and replace. Otherwise, that's what they will use.
You update your will as you're acquiring, then you are updating. Or you make your residual clause in the will very strong. If it is your wife that you trust, that any other thing you acquire, she can administer it very well, it will be your wife. If it's your firstborn, you give it to the person. And sometimes too, in some wills, I didn't talk about it, people specify exactly what they want to see at their funeral. These days you see that a lot. I want to wear a white dress. I want everybody to wear a hat. I don't want any, I want to have been cremated. So you can actually, because if you know that you have a very cantankerous opinion, do you understand? You specify how the funeral should go. The guys will say ketre, that table that the family members will sit on it. Yes, you don't want that. You specify all those things. Those things kind of like it eases the confusion at the funeral. So you must be very detailed. I mean, your will can be 50 pages. Nobody cares, actually. It will be read at the day of the letters of probate. The judge is there to administer it. So if it takes a whole day, he will do it. So it must be very detailed, and your wishes very well spelled out in it.
Ladies, on behalf of the men of Impact, I would like to ask, why is it, what happens when a woman dies intestate and she was married, she was a spouse? What happens to the man? And also, worst of all, when they were married under customary marriage conditions and there were 2 or more wives. If the one wife dies, what happens to the husband, to the property?
The property of the deceased wife.
Yes, intestate. The
intestate.
Wife dies, intestate.
And she has properties.
Married. Yes.
Okay.
So if the wife, it's the same. So the law talks about spouse. It doesn't
Surviving
say husband.
spouse, yeah.
So it's a surviving spouse. So if your wife doesn't also write a will and she has a lot of properties, it will be distributed in proportion to the formula in the law.
So normally with the intestates, the surviving spouse is number 1. And then the children, and the next of kin, and then mother, father.
Right. Then again, that's where, like I keep saying, confusion can come. Because if you have 3 wives, recognize whether
summary ordinance.
Whether you go and register it or not, and everybody knows you were living with 3 wives, held them out as wives, and you don't write a will, you die. Or let's say a woman, you die, and you have only 1 house. The sharing alone is even a problem. So just please write a will or make a will so that the sharing doesn't become too complicated. You have buildings that are there, nobody can go inside because it's under contention.
Papa, thank you so much for the opportunity, and thanks to our resource persons. A couple of the things I wanted a bit of clarification on, you've kind of had that sorted out. Just one issue. As an original testator, so say I build a business empire, to what extent does my voice determine who inherits it after my immediate beneficiary or my immediate heir? Is it possible for me to determine thereafter who takes over and thereafter into perpetuity?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
You have to, like our Nigerian brother said, he doesn't want the wife to marry 10 years to the grave, whatever. He could even say 50 years, the wife should be single. He doesn't, because it's a business and it's for you, you are disposing of it. Maybe you give it to your first son. Then you can determine your first son also give it to his first son. His first son also give it to, maybe you want the women to also benefit. So you say your third grandson should give it to the first daughter.
So you have a similar thing in America, Paris Hilton. So the grandfather willed the Hilton hotels to her, not to his child. So you have things like that. Gave it to a grandchild. Yes, gave it to the grandchild.
So all Hilton hotels are for one girl.
Okay, I have some simple question here. Thank God you said you are talking to the men here today. I want to ask a simple question. Is it legally binding on men to allocate assets or property to the woman that you stay with?
No. It's your
when
property. When you are writing a will.
Yes, when you are writing a will.
The woman you're staying with, that means a girlfriend?
No, a wife. A wife.
A wife, yes.
Some men write wills and don't leave anything for their wives. I'm sure, Madam, you've seen those things. People write wills and they ignore their wife. So sometimes it's very sad. Or maybe a child that is recalcitrant. I've actually had a cousin who was his father's favorite. About a year and a half before the man died, they fell out. Here he was thinking that, the man went and changed his will. And he sat sometimes it's a pathetic, it's a sore sight. People sit there and weep because they get very hurt. So some people don't like to go and sit when they are reading wills. And in most cases, those who don't go, they are the ones that they leave properties for. I've seen it several times. Auntie Gloria. Contributed, yes.
No, you're a wife. There are 3 forms of wives. Those who are married under ordinance, 1 man, 1 wife. All other wives are not. Then the customary law, that is potentially polygamous. Even that you have to prove that there was a customary marriage. Then the third one is the Muslim, which is maximum 4. So if you can prove that you're a wife, then within 3 years of the death, and if it's probate, if it's a will, within 3 years after the will has been granted, you can apply to courts. You and also a child who is under 18 or who is dependent on the parent can apply to court, and the court will look into it.
Look at the circumstances.
Yes, and give you something.
Especially when the wife, dedicated herself to the home.
Once you can prove you're a wife, you don't need to prove anything else.
Madam, anyways,
like the late Sam, you remember?
Exactly.
He didn't give anything to the wife. But if you can do it within 3 years, after 3 years, I'm not sure.
Yes, okay.
All right. Hello. Please, I want to ask at the court, who are to be aware that somebody is depositing a will? Is it up to the last person, that is up to the last clerk, or is it going to be known to only the judge and the registrar?
No, the judge will not be aware. It's you deposit it in court, so it goes through the clerk and then to the registrar. But the judge only becomes aware when the testator has passed and there has been a petition application. But at the time of deposit, no judge is
made aware.
In our way, yeah.
Thank you.
All right, good evening. Please, my question is in 2 parts. Yeah, my question is in 2 parts. And the one says that how do you handle in a situation where the attestator is either missing or out of reach? The person writing the will is missing or out of reach. How do you handle that? And then the second part will be, maybe you made property in your parents' name when you were growing up, and how do you talk them into making the will in your interest whilst you have siblings? Yes.
Okay, so a testator missing. I think the years to declare somebody dead is it 7? Yeah, 7 years. So after 7 years, the person will be declared dead. I'm sure that is where it comes in. And then maybe if he made a will, like you said, so a testator, so that means he made a will. So he will go through the procedure Nana talk to us about. So whatever is stated in his will. But what we told you that you do after the 8th year, then the 10th year, he shows up. He shows up. So that is it. After 7 years, we declare dead. And I'm sure after 7 years, nobody will go in hiding and will not come back. It's very rare. But the other question was also...
So if, assuming you are growing up...
Yes.
And then you put properties in your parents' name...
Yes.
And
but that is a gift. I mean... No. I have an issue with that. You've made a property to your mother.
No, it's not made to. You know, when you were growing up, maybe you feel like your... Yeah, you put it in your name. People do it now. It's
not as a gift to the parents.
Yes. But you have siblings. So you don't know how to push your parents into making a will. If you push them, it will sound like maybe you are manipulating them into making the will.
But can I know the reason why? Is it to conceal something, or like he said that because, okay.
Okay, so sometimes it can be to conceal, or maybe you growing up, you felt like maybe you are too young to own certain things.
Okay.
And you did it. Yeah.
So at the same time, when you are making the property into your parents' name, you can do aside a deed of trust. So a deed of trust will state that this property I'm giving to you, it's for me, but you are holding it in trust for me. Okay. In any situation that you die, the property reverts back to me. and that is very valid. So that deed of trust, you create it while she's signing the property deed in her sole name, she'll sign the deed of trust as well.
Okay, so with that, your parents or the said parent is not supposed to add that in his or her will?
No, yes. If you do the deed of trust.
Okay, yes.
So the deed of trust will say that the property is yours. She's holding it in trust.
Oh, okay. All right.
So that deed, that property document, you have another deed of trust that is holding that.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, now last four. Okay, give to the people here.
Hello.
I think to add to what you said.
Okay, so
aside the deed of trust, I think
we have
the
last
advice I will give is that in such situation, right after you put the property in your father's name, you can force him to do another will in your name.
No, another, that's the deed. So when it will not be a force because you want to conceal. You know, right now, even at the registrar, beneficial owner. So right now they are digging deep. Even with deed of trust, they would dig to see who is actually the beneficial owner. Do you understand? So if you force her to do another lease from her to you, if there is any, unless you don't register that, but if you want to make it legitimate, it will be found out. So the deed of trust is the only thing that really, I feel like it conceals it now. Yeah. Because right now, the way they've done it, that they really want to see who is behind what.
Okay, so my question is that should we always do a will?
Mix.
Is it a must that we should do a will? And I'm thinking about the fact that, especially from a Christian point of view, and my principle is that why is it not the case that the people I'm going to will to, I should give to them now before I die? So if I have SNIT, they know their percentages. If I have any pension staff, they know their percentage. If they are my children, if I have property, I'm going to die anyway. If I'm not dead and I give it to them. So I'm thinking that the will, instead of doing will, I give it to them. They know it. They know what it is now. So as we are living, when we are growing up, my children should know by now, whatever it is. It's not something so when I'm died today, no interstate, they just get it. I'm just thinking it's a principle that I have adopted. I'm not going to write a will, but I'm going to live with them, give it to them now as we are going. Even that they are, once we are going their house, they know. So that is what I'm thinking, whether it is right for me to do that.
I believe it's good. I believe it's good. Though.
Doing will. They know it as we are going in the house. So that's it.
Actually, it's a new trend. Everybody's giving properties in their children's name. And I talked about it in Survivor's Gift. You rather give it to the child whilst you are alive. And it's very encouraging to do that because it's kind of like limits the chaos. I mean, if the children will fight whilst you are alive, you know what it will happen. It's very live. Maybe you give Ajua this house. Ajua said, I would have preferred the Laboni house than the Cantonment house. I mean, it would be right in your face. And then if you have to resolve it, you either resolve it. So it's very encouraging to do that.
There are pros and cons to that. Just as
the jealousy can erupt.
Yes, apart from
you might not have your peace.
Apart from jealousy, sometimes too, it doesn't let the children be enterprising.
Forceful, yes.
They are not enterprising. They are not industrious. They don't even want to go to school, because there was a case recently. I think it was even on TikTok. The child said he won't go to school again. I think he even went to court in America. He said he doesn't want to go to school because, first of all, he's 16 and his father has this, his father has that. He's going to inherit it, so he doesn't see the need to go to school. So sometimes you need to know your child and know your environment. Sometimes people are able to do it and do it secretly. So this person knows. Same example I gave with that my cousin. The same man, he has 2 children that are nurses. He gave them his house that he was living in. He had already given it to them. But the others didn't know. So when the man died, come and see them, he had already given the house to them, and they knew. So they were very particular in taking care of the house, make sure if there's something, they come and paint. People didn't understand. But he had already told them that, I am leaving this house for you. You see, so you have to, I think you should know your environment. It's not every child that can have the capacity to endure some of these things.
Mr. Banham. Thank you for the education. I want to know if a will can get missing at the court.
Yes.
I'm asking this
It happens.
because of maybe the person might have written the will before computerization, somewhere in the 80s or earlier, and maybe died somewhere 2009, 2010. But there are relatives who know, who are aware a will was written, but then it's nowhere to be found.
It's not only the court, after depositing a copy of the will in the court, you must have copies as well. You have to have copies. So it's not only the court that will hold it. So even if it gets missing in the court, there must be a copy somewhere. It will be very strange for all the copies to be missing. But you're saying maybe years. Maybe it was done in 1980, the person passing in 2021, at a very, the person was 105 or 100 and all that. But there must be a copy. If you do a will, that's one of the key things. You must keep a copy, and you must give copies to people, that trusted people, that are in case of your death. And I don't think that if you, normally you do when I do a will for people, I do 8 copies or more copies. Do you understand? So it will be very strange for all the copies. But it's true. There are cases where the one in the courts cannot be found. But you realize that a family member or somebody or a trusted person, a friend, has a copy. But it will be very strange if the will is written for all the copies to be missing. Nana, have you seen a situation where?
Boss, let it go.
Wills are still not that digitalized. They keep them in ledger books. So it's very difficult for them to get missing. And the registrar is responsible. They hold it with passion. I went to Cape Coast Court recently, and I got a will. I'd given up, but I got a will in 1979.
Yes.
So please, it's not that. And wills are very easy to make. You can make them as many times as you want. If you make it this year, you can decide that you've had more property. Next year you do it, because it will never take effect until after your death. They are very easy.
So I have 2 questions.
Please, thank you very much. Please, in case you do a deed of gift to someone and the person is using it, is it possible to take it back? One. And secondly, at what age can you do a deed of gift for your child? Is he also around the 80 years and above, or you can do a deed of gift for a child below 18 years? Thank you.
Good question. Let it flow, lawyers.
So you can
you take the gift back?
As for the gift taking back, I'm not sure. Once you've done it by instrument, you cannot go back and say that I'm taking it back, unless there's a condition in the gifting, what's the instrument that you use to transfer the gift. When you can gift something to your child, but the usage, if the child is below 18, then there has to be a trustee. The person can, and also a child cannot hold, immovable property. So a child cannot own a land because they are minors. So there are technicalities that you would have to get a lawyer to help you to at least put it in trust, or there will be a trustee that will step in to administer. Even when there's no trustee named in a deed or let's say a will, the court will find somebody to manage it, because under 18 you can't own the property.
Okay. So in the case of a joint ownership, when the husband and the wife own the property and one dies, what happens to the property? Does it go to one person, or who can even capture it in your will? Can anyone capture in the will?
Yeah, so you can capture it in your will, but so you can't give what you don't have. So your ownership is to the extent of what your equity in that. For instance, if it's a company, you definitely see the percentages. So you can't go and say that you're giving 70% when in the company you own 30%.
So let's say it's a house.
So if it's a house, so usually then they value the house, and then somebody buys. One person may buy the other out. Even companies, you realize that sometimes there's husband and wife, spouses have a company, and the father has died. So the children may be fighting over the 50. The wife can say, I'm buying you out. Like, I'm buying you out because maybe the children too are stepchildren. So to have peace,
buy them out.
You buy them out. And the court would step in to do some of these things, because if it's too contentious, you can't work together. You can't own the property together. But you can't divulge what you don't have. You can't give what you don't have.
And then there's one thing I have to say. For men, when you have children and you remarry, you don't know the woman you're going to marry. And sometimes the children that you left in the previous marriage, you might have a problem with the first wife. You really have to make sure you take care of your children. You have to. If, like our brother said, you do an intervivals gift to them whilst you're alive, and then your will take care of the children that are in the marriage. You do that. Because children like that feel very stranded, and they feel very abandoned and dejected, which sometimes is not pretty. So we also advise for men here. We know you are in love. You know, the first wife is a monster, whatever it is. But I think that you should take care of the children that you left, because they are your children. You might have a problem with your mother, but they are still your children. So it's something that you might have to be mindful of. So maybe you can go the route on the intervivals gift.
Wow. Clap your hands. Thank you very, very much. Amen. So I think let's ask just one question based on what is trending on social media now. You are lawyers over here, and plus Lawyer Gloria. Let's clap once also for Lawyer Gloria. She's a very senior lawyer. She's even written a book and a handbook and a manual on wills. So the time that we will do the one for the church, she'll be one of our resource people. She even lectures, right? You lecture, right? At Gimpa. Amen. She lectures in law at Gimpa. Very, very good. So now, let's look at what is trending right now about this case on social media. Because legal people are saying it's correct. Media people say that's an issue. The lady said she's been with the man for how many years? 15, 16 years. And she was requesting for 50 million Ghana cedis. And the judge said, now we can only give you 300,000 because you are pretty and you can marry tomorrow. So lawyer, and marriage is not an investment. So you ask the lawyers, you know, how do you think about it and what is happening? And so let's flow. Lawyer Gloria, yeah. Because right now, I'm telling you the truth. You know, anything that happens on social media and in our generation, the problem is not what is happening now. What is going to happen tomorrow?
Yes.
That's the issue. Anything you see happening right now that people are making jokes with it, you know, it is what is going to happen tomorrow. So now, ladies too come to marriage and they'll be building their houses on the side. They are building their houses on the side. Now, every money you give to them to go and do chop money, she will take half. And she will do this. And also, now all her money will not come into the marriage. So now it's going to be a lot of things. And the last one, I was speaking to somebody today. The person said, Prophet, so right now, if a lady will be with a man for 15 years, and the lady will not get anything, right now, the poison too will be plenty. Because now, yeah, I'm telling you, because they know that once you are alive, you can push the thing away. So then when you go, so the aftermath and the ripple effect is massive. So some of these things need education. So Lawyer Gloria, yes. How do you see the whole thing? And
actually, there's a petition before the the Director General of CID and DOVSU last year, that he entered the house with some people, broke through the door and sacked the woman and her children. The children were sleeping on the floor, sacked them from the house. So for some time now, he doesn't maintain them. And he made her stop her work so that he would take care of her. But now he sacked them. So there's that aspect in DOVSU. And then there's this divorce aspect. So with this divorce, the judge just mentioned 7 pages of something. He's still writing his judgment. So we are waiting.
Oh, so the full judgment has not come?
No, it's just the 7 page. But what we know is that there's something out there too with DOVSU of how he used to beat her. He will leave the house for weeks. When he comes back, he wants to rape her, and if she refuses, he beats her. You know, it's a very bad story. It's more than what has been reported. It's very, very bad. And I pray that we'll all pray that our men will have the Holy Spirit in them, so that they will do the needful for their children and their spouses. Thank you.
Wow. So it's a whole lot. So lawyers too, how do you see the whole?
Papa, you know, minus the abuse and beating and things, these days the liberation is both sides. So the women too, we won't want our property to be shared 50-50. And I think that's how come gradually the 50-50 has fizzled out.
At all.
Because whether it's a female judge, she also will say that, why should you come and take 50?
I speak over your marriage.
Yes, Lord.
You will prosper in your marriage.
Amen.
I speak over your health.
Jesus.
You will prosper in your health.
Amen.
And I like what I just said. Can I tell you?
Yes, sir.
I speak over your children.
Jesus.
You will prosper in the areas of the children.
Amen.
I speak over your scripture.
Auntie, is it your son? The one we prayed about? I say it's a testimony. But friend, powerful testimony. Man of God, let's go.
So,
but last week, this man saw me.
Yes, sir. And she said
she said she came all the way from Dansoma.
Yes, sir. Yes, so she said she came to see you about her son.
Yeah.
He was traveling from Ghana to Belgium.
Yeah.
But it was a connection. So he had a Ghanaian passport and also
Swaziland passport.
Yes, sir. So unfortunately, he was supposed to.
When he got to Swaziland,
yes,
they caught him.
Yes, sir.
And they told him to speak the language.
That's right.
They told him to speak the language. If you hold Swaziland passport, speak the language. Then they held him and put him in jail. The man came to me and said, in Jesus' name, I remove your son from the jail. And I told her something will happen. And within 24 hours, the boy came from jail.
Yes, Lord.
Yes, sir. So when they arrested him, he was supposed to be there for 1 year and 6 months.
Yes.
But when the mother came to see you, and you released
just last week,
yes, you released a prophetic word
that he is out of the jail.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He's out by the grace of God. And the mother also said, you said to her that when he comes out, God will find another way for him to bless him. So he should draw closer to God and the altar. And that's why they're here.
So how long did he stay in the jail for?
Just a month.
That's right.
1 year, 6 months. Became what? 1 month. It is like Obantemumpa. Uncle the 1 day.
That's right.
Tell somebody power.
Power.
Say authority.
Authority.
Montachi Otano. Sunday Mihumo.
Last Wednesday, when our brother was in his house, there was a serious storm, thunderstorm that struck the house, and it got the TV that he was watching. The TV just got shut down. The next day, he's an Uber driver. Whilst he was driving along the Shashi Road, the car eventually got the tire busted, and he had to come out. When he came out, the passengers also was able to come out. Then he remembered what happened the previous day, the tender strike.
TV that crashed.
Yes, the TV that crashed. And he said, indeed, the Testimony-City God is working. He has been delivered from premature death.
My God.
Congratulations.
My God. He says that there's been a lot of ambition that he's had, where he's even come close to a lot of contracts, and nothing has worked for him. Even there's a major contract he's been chasing for the past 4 years. And just last week is when they gave him a feedback that they are willing now to go ahead with a contract. And he's thankful to God because the moment he came to church, that was what he was praying, that there's been delays. But this time,
and I called him to prophesy to him.
You called him and you told him about speed.
Clap your hands and bless
yes,
God.
Sir.
Congratulations.
Yes, sir. So our brother here is saying that he has a hotel at Trifopaso.
Yes.
And then he came to you, you gave him a word.
Oh, okay, you came to me,
Yes,
say,
sir.
hotel, not just say, a
Yes, yes, sir.
MPK.
Yes, sir.
Then I told him to go and do something about
Yes,
the hotel.
sir. Yes, sir. You gave him one direction.
That's right.
With the stone.
Yes.
So he picked the stone.
I told him to pick stone from here.
Yes, sir.
Non alcohol.
Yes, sir. And you told him that when he goes to do the direction, something will happen. He placed the stones at the workplace, and all the evil workers just stop working. They resign.
Oh! Any worker around you,
Jesus,
that is not good.
Jesus,
let them vacate their seats.
Amen. And they also started spreading rumors that the hotel is no more working. But before he came back, he's gotten good workers, and then everything is in place.
And the clients have come.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Church, I told him to only pick stone from here. Non fanko chifo praso.
Yes, sir.
Non fanko guo. No di guwa bibi besi hotel ho. Udi guwa no mu na resign here.
Nyina adwane.
Udi guwa no mu dwane.
Nyina adwane.
And I said,
"Na me was sorry kra no mo frame say me work ese no." Nti if you say me jaa sorry kra na me ko ho no. Ti me ko afi na maba.
Wow, until me who watch no. Wow. Child of God. Bibi will soon soon. There is something in life. Now, more clients. I'm a Bible so. Tell the altar.
Yes, sir. So our sister just came here just last month, September.
Yeah.
In the course of the service, you pick up and you gave her a prophecy concerning delayance. Right after that prophecy, even before then, they were expecting some contract.
Oh, okay, I remember.
Yes. So right
you were sitting here. Good.
Right after the prophecy, they had a call from judiciary service that their contract that they have been waiting for have been approved.
This is the letter.
Yes, sir.
Can I declare to somebody?
Prophesy.
As one word was able to bring her contract.
That's right.
I've prophesied to you.
Prophesy.
The grace over here.
Nah.
By this one word.
Nah.
May God grant unto you whatever you are expecting.
Amen.
Receive it right now.
Amen.
Congratulations.
Not only one contract, but another contract too has also been approved after a couple of battles that they went through.
Sister,
that's what.
Yes, except the other contract is an existing contract, but
it was being
confusion. The workers were sabotaging.
It has been approved.
So they wanted to cancel it because
then
the workers were
up.
misbehaving. Yes, and then God showed up. Because the workers sabotaged the con. They planned
your own workers.
Yes, sir.
Anybody here, you have a business.
Jesus.
That your workers are part of your trouble.
Jesus.
La tonto aprantas.
Jesus.
I expose them by fire.
By fire.
Congratulations. Use the document to tell the altar. Pastor Joe Ochina Santa Chimano.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations.
Amen.
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 Our sister here has been married for like 5 years.
Yeah.
And in the 5 years period, there's not been any sign of pregnancy. Nothing. They went to the doctor. The doctors told them where the issue was coming from, but it wasn't actually her. And prior to that, they had just agreed with the husband to do an IVF and believe God to come through.
Yeah.
But a friend of hers said, before you do the IVF, I want to introduce you to the altar of the Testimonycity.
Wow.
And so she followed the friend. This was in May. And it's been 2 months down the line. She always comes touch the altar as we are talking. That 2 months, she's 2 months pregnant as we are talking.
My God! My God! My God! My God! Before I go, my God!
Jesus.
Let the Lord arise.
Amen.
Powi with the pray.
Miracles they happen.
Power of Worship International.
Testimonycity.
What happened to Dubai or
Oh, yeah, hairdresser, and also or USA.
On also a hairdresser.
No,
I know Baha. And I have one shaman on also going.
On any buying now.
My God! My God! Listen. Infinite copy my finale. Jesus. Yamin Soko.
I want twins.
What's saying?
The pet twins.
Say it is done.
It is done.
It's done.
That's right.
Fasatoso. I am in Yahweh, Jumawai. Boko why? Go.
That's right.
What a mighty God we serve!